there's no true surprise that Putin and various other officials in Russia are sad that uh, Tucker Carlson is removed from Fox News because he was a great talking point for Russia and would defend Putin and the Russian invasion of the Ukraine, and now that is gone for them.
Out front tonight, Russia is hiring. As a top Putin mouthpiece, offers Tucker Carlson a job with Russian state television, the most senior Russian official to visit the United States since Putin invaded Ukraine. You heard me there. Today, said this, unprompted.
Perhaps it would be useful to consider how things are with freedom of speech in the United States. I've heard that Tucker Carlson has left Fox News. It's curious news. What is this related to? One can only guess. But clearly, the wealth of views in the American information space has suffered as a result.
That's the foreign minister for Vladimir Putin, Sergei Lavrov. With all that's going on here in the United States, coming here, talking about the loss of Tucker Carlson. It's unbelievable, right? I mean, it's incredible that he would do such a thing and weigh on this. Why is Lavrov obsessed specifically with Tucker Carlson? Well, you may ask, why is that? Because in Russia, Tucker Carlson is a star for repeatedly being pro-Russian, anti-American, and anti-Ukraine. Listen to this.
It might be worth asking yourself, since it is getting pretty serious, what is this really about? Why do I hate Putin so much? Has Putin ever called me a racist? Has he threatened to get me fired for disagreeing with him? Does he eat dogs? These are fair questions, and the answer to all of them is no.
And all of them are just actually stupid questions.
Vladimir Putin didn't do any of that. The Russians don't want American missiles on their border. They don't want a hostile government next door. Ideologues within the Biden administration did not want a negotiated peace in Ukraine. They wanted, all along, and it's very clear now, a regime change war against Russia.
What is funny is that, Russia is supposed to be a communist nation, yet right-wingers, a lot of them support Russia, while at the same time hating communism and socialism in the United States. How does that mix?
Maybe they just wanted no water, right? Just respect the border. So here's the thing. Since the start of the war, Russia's state media has been using things like that, Tucker Carlson, to prove and to bolster their points. The two, frankly, have been in lockstep on their spin. Watch this.
If there is any single American who deserves scorn and, yes, blame for the invasion of Ukraine, it would be Joe Biden.
We need to introduce a new term, Biden's war. It's Biden's war. He's in charge.
Word for word.
Yeah, the Russian state media would use Tucker Carlson as a good talking point to bolster propaganda in Russia, because Tucker Carlson is so defensive of Putin and the Russian invasion.
And look at this from reporter Julia Davis. She does incredible work monitoring Russian propaganda. She points out, look at this here. These are different pictures from Russian state television. Julia's found all of these. Tucker Carlson, in every one of them, at the center of Russian state television's messaging again and again and again. I mean, look at these images of Carlson's face up on the big screen in their studios in Moscow, while the hosts fawn over Carlson's rhetoric about Russia and Ukraine, which is why the highest-ranking Russian official to come to the United States since the war began, the foreign minister, is seizing on the fact that Tucker Carlson no longer has a megaphone, or at least for now, they're offering him a job. What's even more offensive than Lavrov portraying Carlson as a symbol of freedom of speech, though, is his government's treatment of Putin critics and journalists, including the Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich. Today, our Matthew Chance was there with Lavrov and pressed him on a possible prisoner swap for Americans, Gershkovich as well as Paul Whelan.
In the Russian Federation, there are several American citizens who are serving sentences for various crimes. I refer to Paul Whelan and Evan Gershkovich. They were detained when they were committing a crime, receiving material that was a state secret. And the vociferous, pathos-laced statements about journalists, by definition, Not being able to commit crimes is something which we reject.
All right, Matthew Chance was the one who asked that question of the foreign minister. You know him, of course, who spent so much time in Moscow as well as Ukraine during this war, and he's with me here. And Matthew, I want to ask you about that exchange that you had with Lavrov, because it just isn't true anymore that anyone even gets to ask him questions, right? So it's a very rare opportunity. But first, Tucker Carlson. He brings up, Foreign Minister Lavrov brings up Tucker Carlson. And you have spent so much time there in Moscow. You know that state media there, obviously, has long lauded Carlson, right? He's been valuable to them. What did you make of Lavrov bringing this up today?
Well, I think it underlines just how valuable that he is to them, and how much of a sort of voice he is on Russian state media. We saw there from the reporting that we've just, featured. He is a regular feature of Russian state television newscasts, and Russian anchors use his views, which are often, quite extreme.
It's kind of funny how much the right wing in Russia worships like Tucker Carlson, and how much the right wing in the United States worship Putin. It's seemingly going hand in hand, though right wingers love authoritarianism.
In some cases, as the views of reasonable America, the reasonable West. And I think one of the reasons that Lavrov is so upset that Tucker Carlson is no longer on the air, at the moment at least,
right,
is that he's such a disruptor as well. And the Russians, they back disruptors. They want to disrupt themselves. And so this is he was doing a lot of the work that the Kremlin media would have loved to have done themselves.
Right, absolutely. To tell Russians, this is being said in America, that all of a sudden it gives you, bolsters that. Now let me ask you about the exchange that you had with Lavrov, because this is crucial. We've heard nothing from them. They never talk about what they would be willing to do, whether it be for Paul Whelan or Evan Gershkovich, among the Americans who are imprisoned there right now. You asked Lavrov if a prisoner exchange was possible. What did he tell you?
Well, look, I mean, there have been prisoner exchanges in the past. In the recent past, Brittany Griner was sought for a prominent Russian here. And so that's the expectation. The trouble is, with Victor Bout, the most high-profile of Russians that was in a US jail, already swapped, one of the problems that Evan Gershkovich and Paul Whelan has got is, well, who can they be swapped with?
Right.
And we've struggled to answer this. And so Sergei Lavrov, I asked him this question, what does he want in exchange for these two American citizens? Take a listen to what he had to say.
We have approximately 60 people who are serving sentences here. And in most cases, the accusations are dubious.
So, 60 people. I've not heard that number before.
No, I mean, that was you don't just put out a number by accident if you're him, right? He was prepared with a number.
And so he was. And so clearly they have the idea that if there's going to be a prisoner swap, it is going to be these two people.
60 to 2.
Well, I mean, a chunk of people, a big group of people for what they've got left.
Right. Well, pretty amazing. And obviously he came right, he was going to answer that, had someone asked, and of course you were the one who asked. Matthew Chance, thank you very much. And now I want to go to Julia Davis. I mentioned her, a Russian media analyst. She's the creator of the Russian Media Monitor, also a columnist for the Daily Beast. She has been sanctioned by Russia, and retired U.S. Air Force Colonel Cedric Leighton, a former intelligence officer. And Julia, your work during all of this has just been incredible. The things that you see and find and hear on Russian media as you consume so much of what Russians are being faced with every day. So Lavrov brings up Tucker Carlson unsolicited today, and you've been following how the Russian propaganda machine is